So Rodrigo, obviously a lot going on with you since the last time we saw you in Rio for UFC 190. You've officially retired, moved on. What was the process of that happening? I know Dana White said at the press conference he wanted it to happen, but you weren't totally sure, and then you later made the decision and formally announced it. What did you have to debate, and why did you make that decision?
When I lost this fight, I felt like in the camp, I have a, like hip surgery, and I was like, I couldn't, do things what I used to do. I did the hip surgery in the both sides. I think that's from 2011 for now. I lost, almost half the fight I did. I lost more fights than I won. You know what I mean? So it was, I could have, couldn't do the same performance I used to do, and I was thinking about it, Beside that, we have a lot of business in Brazil, like visiting gyms, like working in a social project in Rio de Janeiro, working like 1,000 kids, try to find that talents, to put for training, find a new talent. So it was a like common process when I was me and Dana talk, to work for UFC. A lot of things what I do, like work the social projects, fight fighters, things like that. I could help, to work with UFC. So for me, it was a big pleasure, to be invited by Dana and Lorenzo to work on the UFC side. And plus, we have a guy who's the president of Brazil, UFC Brazil, Giovanni Deca. He's doing a lot of good work with the fighters, as a calling, talking, with the fighters. That atmosphere of UFC Brazil involved me. So that's why I accept, I feel very happy for that.
Yeah, and I'll get to the job with the UFC in a second, but you mentioned, the more wins or more losses than wins. How hard is that for you? You're such a legendary fighter, you've held all these titles. When you go in there and you just can't perform, the way you used to and the way you want to, is that something that's really hard to deal with?
Yeah, it was. I have like 8 surgeries in the past 5 years. So I for sure I spend more time doing physical therapy than train. For sure. I actually have 7 months a year I was doing physical therapy. 5 months a year I was training. And plus the day I finish my fight, next couple of days I just turned my ACL for the second time in the same year. Looks like not gonna stop, so I have to stop again and rehab my body. And the same time, I was thinking about quit. Was the time. I'm 39 years old, old dude. My daughter just turned 15, last week, so it was a good time. I can help a lot of the new fighters doing things. I think I'm gonna do a good job in the UFC.
Yeah, and when you look back at your career, is there one moment that stands out as the highlight, the biggest moment, best achievement? What would it be for you?
I mean, I got some moments. I'll tell you, there's like 3 moments in my career, and when I fought in the Pride for the Pride belt in like 2001 was a big time. When I fought Bob Sapp, it was in Tokyo, Stadium of Tokyo. The National Stadium of Tokyo was like, a big crowd, insane that day, and fighting like a huge guy. He was undefeated. It was a big memory to me, that fight, because he was beating me. I could get back and win the fight. And when I won the interim belt of UFC in 2008, I think UFC was my dream come true, because I became a fighter watching UFC, watching Royce Gracie. Then when I saw that thing, I said, man, I want to fight in the octagon so bad. So I think changed my life. So win the title after did so many in Japan and come to US and win the title was amazing.
Yeah, and on to the job that you have with the UFC now. I know you're working with a lot of fighters in Brazil, and in specific, someone on this card, Thomas Almeida. He's very young, 20 years old, 20-0. What do you say to someone like that? Like, do you give him advice and say, because I imagine so much attention, fame, and everything is coming his way. Is that something that you kind of talk about a guy like that with? Is just how to deal with it all?
It is, but this kid, you know, he's very focused on it. He's got his mentor, you know. He got his coach. He's always with him, you know. I think some of those new guys, they lost, you know, the way in the way, you know, they're doing so good, but they lost, you know, they partying too much, you know. But when you got something like he got his coach, his mentor, you know, he don't need it. You know, I was talking to him. You have to see him. He's very focused on it. You know, I think that's why this kid is so successful. But you know, a lot of kids will coming. We're gonna lose a lot of them. You know, for the moment. But I think they become very professional right now. You know, the sport. You know, for how the kids know if they don't sleep well, they don't train good in the next day. You know, I think they're kind of different right now. But I'm gonna help and work. You know, talk to them too.